All right. Okay, 7 o'clock. Calling the meeting to order. I do have one update, infrastructure updates and concerns. Is there any other additions this evening? Okay, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move to approve agenda as amended.
Do you have a seconder?
Second.
All those in favor? please
I do
signify
have a
by
question to council. When we look at future meetings, usually when we advertise our future meetings and our agenda, it's generally a meeting of council. The meeting on October 3rd is not a meeting of council. Should that be on the agenda?
We can strike it. Okay. Melissa, if you can make the one note that we'll strike that off our agenda. So we had Councillor McDougall making a motion. Who was the seconder? Was it Councillor McCory? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, contrary minded. Okay, the agenda is approved. So we have a gallery presentation this evening. So I want to welcome Rochelle Sampson on behalf of the Cape Breton Partnership. We will give you the floor. Thank you for coming.
So I totally have a 10-minute slot, so I'm going to do my absolute best to be prompt. I wanted to reintroduce myself. I was here 3 months ago with Tyler Mathis, where he introduced me as the new Economic Development Officer for Richmond County and Roxbury. So I wanted to come back. We wrapped up our Q1 report for April to June. So keep in mind that I only started June 17th, so I was fresh 15 days and got lots done in those 15 days. But in this report, if you do have any questions, I may have to go back and get those answers and come back to you. So I don't want to read through the report word for word by any means. I'd like to just give you guys a brief overview of what was accomplished in Q1. We just wrapped up Q2, so I'll have that report ready for you guys shortly, and I'm happy to come back and present it again. And that will be for July to September. So that would have been 3 full months that I would have been in that position. I believe you guys were given a copy of the report. So the front page, the cover page. That second page just has kind of the breakdown of the Cape Breton Partnership, how it operates, who the board members are, and if there are any changes, they'll always be reflected in these reports. On the third page, it states the reporting period, which would have been April 1st to June 30th. There's a few highlights, such as the hiring of myself as the new Economic Development Officer in the position. So I'm originally from Ayrshire, I was born and raised there. I went off to university in Halifax for a couple of years and I've come back. I worked in a multitude of roles in business and business development. So I'm happy to be in this position and in this capacity, and happy to work with you guys going forward on any projects that you have. I've worked with lots of members in Roxbury so far in my short 3 months here, which has been great. So I've jumped right in and I've had a fun time doing it. So I'm happy to continue doing that work. The partnership celebrated 20 years this year, so that was great to come on into. Everyone's quite welcoming, friendly. They've really brought me in with open arms, and it's been a great place to work so far. We do a lot of other work, such as the Safety First Cape Breton Symposium, had 200 attendees there, including several across the Strait and Richmond as well, and it was a full day focused on occupational health and safety. We had the town hall, so the impact of transportation costs on life. This was a recorded session that you can actually rewatch online. It was very informative, talked about different forms of transportation and the effects on businesses, whether that be the new integration of rail or the impact of all the trucks on the pavement. And you have businesses from Margaree all the way to Richmond and Roxbury on the panel, just chatting about the different effects that it has on their businesses on how to get their materials there, especially after COVID. So this was something great to watch and very informative. We have a quarterly podcast that comes out. So we had the 4th podcast was released in March, and it's how to build more housing in Cape Breton. So housing obviously is a priority for all right now, and we've got some great companies that are doing really good work here. I saw the release for the old school in Lower River, which is good being done. So that's excellent. That building's going to be quite an asset for the community. So that episode has a great traction. It was downloaded over 200 times in the first week of its exposure, and it's been downloaded over 1,500 times since then. We participate in several events, so you likely always see me or one of my team members at any event that you guys do have in the Strait or in surrounding areas such as, Everwind or Strait Area Chamber events, Smart Energy Halifax, CBU World Tourism, and the list goes on. So we try to keep quite active, and we like to be there and be ready for questions if anybody does have any. We have a green energy engagement program. So Jen McNeil, if you've all had the pleasure of meeting her, she has a wealth of knowledge in that industry. So she puts on a lot of information sessions. So she's going to get started back up in the fall. And she attended the Smart Energy Conference in Halifax, the Electricity Sector Implementation Team, and the Nova Scotia Offshore Wind Roadmap, as well as the Regional Assessment for Offshore Wind Development. So she organizes all that, and she keeps us all up to date on any of those questions, which that sector is quite large here in Roxbury right now. So it's always great to have her be so informed, and then she passes that information off to us. We also have a Creative Economy Development Officer, Bill Culp. If you've ever been out and about, you'd likely see him at some of the pubs or concerts or anywhere where there's some film industry happening. He was working on a couple of different films here in Nova Scotia, such as the Little Lorraine movie that they're shooting, Lighthouse in Little Lorraine, and he provides multiple sector support to small businesses and individuals looking to get into that sector, such as artists or playwrights or whatever the case may be. We have a people and labor force attraction, so helping small businesses recruit workers, retain workers with job ads, whatever the case may be, LMIAs, foreign workers, all that kind of stuff. We have an entire staff that's there ready to help any business in the area that needs that help. And we have a large team that works well on that sector and that industry. We also have a Welcome Network coordinator. She recently just started around the same time as me, a few months before, and so she's working on revamping that sector of our department. And it helps people who first come here, what the first point of contacts are, who to chat with, how to best integrate into the community, that it's a bit more of a smooth transition. So it's wonderful to have Danielle on our team to help us with that. And we've got the Investor Summit coming up in October, at the end of October, October 24th, at the Inverary Resort in Quebec. I think we're near sold out of tickets, so if you don't have yours yet, please grab one. It's going to be a wonderful time from what I've heard. We have a keynote speaker. Her name is escaping me. She was on Shark Tank. Arlene Dickinson, thank you. So she's going to be there as a keynote speaker, so everyone's pretty excited about that. So the tickets did sell out fast, but I believe there are a few left. So that's what we were up to in Q1. Since then, I've been on the ground running, meeting companies, working with just small businesses in and around the community and helping them work through, any issues that they do have and hearing them out and learning the job and learning the grants. And so it's been a great experience so far. I work at the Strait Area Chamber 2 days a week, and I'm down in Ayrshire for 3 days. So if ever you guys need me, I'm not very far. So I wanted to open the floor to any questions that anybody might have, any comments, concerns. And if you did want me to come back in a month's time with that Q2 report, I'm happy to.
Thanks so much for Rochelle for your very concise report. You covered a lot of ground in a short amount of time. And we do have, there's a little bit more detail, obviously, in the report you submitted for our council package, so we definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I will see if there's any questions that council may have. We'll start with councillor report.
No, I have no questions.
Okay, councillor Britton.
No, just thank you for your report, Michelle, and very good report. Thank you very much.
Okay, councillor Plum.
No questions, just my comment is I'll echo Councilor McDougall. Thank you for the report. Very well done.
Okay, and Deputy Mayor McIver.
No questions, Your Worship, and Michelle, thank you for the report.
Okay, well, I guess you were officially off the hook.
Thank
you
Got through
so
the
much.
hardest part right
Thank
quick,
you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
no,
guys.
we're
Thank
looking
you.
forward to your future presentations, just for continued updates and for the great work.
Great, thank you
you're
guys.
doing on our behalf. Thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is acknowledgements. And so, of course, September 30th, that's Truth and Reconciliation Day, and also Mi'kmaq History Month. So I also want to acknowledge that this is a final meeting for somebody we all know well. Councillor Huey McDougall / our history buff. And
Sorry.
we want to acknowledge that he has served town council for 23 years. And yeah, so this will be the last meeting. So on behalf of council, I want to thank you for all of your long years of service to the town of Port Hawkesbury and to our residents and the businesses and everyone here in the town of Port Hawkesbury. On my behalf, thank you very much, and on behalf of everyone else. I would also like to see if council would like to give you any parting messages as a recovering politician as of the end of this meeting. Deputy Mayor McIver.
Through you, your worship, Councillor McDougall, it was a pleasure serving with you. I'll miss the historical parts of our meetings when you give us a story, but wish you all the well in the future. Thank you.
Councillor Flynn.
Through your worship. It's been a fun 4 years. I get to sit on council with you. Enjoy your retirement from council. And we'll see you at the grand opening of the new Dan Willie ball field.
For sure, for sure.
Okay, Councillor McCory.
Wish you all the best,
Thank you.
and I know you're going to be so relieved when you're done. But Huey is one of the hardest working councillors. I'm pretty sure. You ask him, he'll tell you. He'll tell you.
I'll be the first to say
Anyhow,
Would that be what you call facetious?
anyhow, long number of years of service and a major commitment to the town, and yeah, so we wish you all the best, Huey.
Thank you.
Yeah, and enjoy your sense of humor. Yeah.
At least you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
And we'd like to give you the floor, Huey, for any parting thoughts I might have.
Thank you, your worship, and it's been a great 4 years, it's been a great 8 years, it's been a great 23 years. I would really like to thank the staff that worked, not only all the staff we have now, but the staff over the last 23 years. I've been so lucky to have the great staff that we had in Port Hawkesbury for 23 years. I can remember from Jim Davis to Paula, Aileen, I can name them all, but they're all such great people. And the councillors that I worked with were some of the best. Deputy Mayor McIver, it's a pleasure working with him for so long, probably the longest I worked with anybody. Jimmy King, great to work with him. Mayor Brennan Chisholm-Beaton, it was great to work with him. And this council here, it's just been one of the best councils I've been on. And I've been on a lot. So again, I thank you very much for your acknowledgement this evening and recognition. And I appreciate your kind words, everybody, and best of luck to everybody that's running. And for staff, keep up the good work and the work you do for the town of Port Hawkesbury. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other acknowledgements anyone would like to offer this evening? Okay, so hearing no other acknowledgements, we'll move on to the approval of council minutes. So we have a set of minutes for their public meeting of council, September 3rd, 2024. I would ask at this time if there are any errors or omissions. Okay, hearing none, I would ask any business arising from that set of minutes. Okay, thank you, council. We'll hand things over to our CAO, Terry Doyle, for council committee reports.
So I believe there's two items coming from committee of whole. So from the report from committee of whole, we have a motion for consideration. Do you want to have lead into this, and we'll move forward from there?
Sure.
Or I can move to the second one as well, which came from which came from Committee of Whole. And that's a motion for consideration that the town of Hawkesbury approve the amended bylaws of the Strait Area Transit Cooperative Limited as presented at the September Committee of Whole meeting.
Sure, we'll do this one first and then go back. Okay. What is the wishes of council?
I can make that motion, your worship.
And did you want to recuse yourself for this motion?
Fine.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded. And just, Melissa, just one noted conflict so that we don't want to get you in trouble, so. Okay, and then we'll go back to the other report. Okay, so just for context, circulated to council was a picture of a monument that had a bronze a plaque on it acknowledging and honoring Austin Letcher to be placed at the trailhead. I guess everybody is the Hemlock Trail head that also houses our water fountain. And I would ask, and of course, I would ask of council, what is the wishes of council with regard to this request? And it is different from the original request, and it was made to kind of expedite an honor in the memory of Austin Letcher so that some of the aged relatives of the family would be able to see this happen versus the other project, which would have taken much longer. So what is the wishes of council?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Second
Okay, any discussion on the motion?
Question?
Okay, question has been called. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion is approved. Do we have any other items?
There was only two items,
Okay.
Your Worship.
Okay, so we have, next is approval of the committee of the whole minutes. Any errors or omissions? And if there are no errors or omissions, I would ask for a motion to approve that set of minutes.
Move.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Okay, the minutes are approved. Okay, any, I guess anything, any discussion from those sets of minutes? Any business arising? Okay, so motions from in camera. Okay, so we do have one motion from, or two?
We have one motion from the camera. And that's, that motion is that the town of Hawkesbury approve the recommendation of staff as discussed in camera with respect to a contractual issue.
Okay, what is the wishes of council?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, do we have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Okay, the motion is approved. Okay, I didn't see any correspondence in our package. So under other business, we have council expenses. I'll hand things over to you, Terry. No proclamation or resolution.
Yes, Your Worship. So month of September reported to date. There are no expenses that were recorded.
We don't actually,
Just because they're busy knocking on doors.
must be an election.
All right, what was that?
Must be an election.
Says the recovery politician.
Exactly.
Okay, so Superport Marine nomination, Terry?
Yes, I do. So we have a motion for consideration. Is that the town, and after in-camera discussion, that the town of Port Hawkesbury nominate Neil Stewart to serve as the town of Port Hawkesbury's member on the Strait of Canso Superport Corporation.
Okay, what is the wishes of council?
I move that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councilor McDougall. Do we have a seconder?
Seconded.
Okay, seconded by Deputy Mayor McIver. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, the motion is approved. So should we send a letter to
Yes.
the? Okay, perfect. Anything else on this item, Terry?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to Sports Wall of Fame, over to, Councilor McDougall. You did. Here's your friendly reminder.
Here's my friendly reminder, I'm just going, there's, yes, your worship, through you to council, we are doing things a little different this year. All we're having this year is, the youth, male and female, appointees or electees to our Wall of Fame. And the names will be announced on the 21st. And there will be a ceremony up for the inductees on the 26th of October. That's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, Councilor McDougall? That concludes your report, so we will move on. Thank you for the information. We'll move on to approved additions. So there has been some concerns expressed about what the town has been doing to deal with our infrastructure as a town with, I guess, some older infrastructure needs. And I would ask the staff that they give an update in terms of what we've been doing.
Yes, so the mayor's indicated that this, this item on the, would be considered for addition to the agenda, and I've
Where is this?
requested.
I'm just looking at that, I'm missing it.
Oh, I addition to the agenda, infrastructure updates and concerns.
So Mayor indicated that it was her intention, this afternoon, that it was her intention to add this to the agenda. So I asked Jason McMillan with the help of Sajin John to put together some slides with respect to infrastructure. And so part of it goes back to sort of the report from Committee of Whole, but it's more of a summary style of presentation. So I'd ask Jason to
Thank you.
come up.
Thank you, everyone. Through your worship, it's been a little while since I had a chance to speak to everybody and present at the meeting.
I think that should work, but I don't see the name. I'll just go.
Okay. Thank you, Terry. There we go. So through you, your worship, a lot of the items that you're going to see here relate to information that you've most recently seen in the Committee of the Whole update package sent to you for the month of September. Starting off, just a brief update on our public works building replacement. The pre-engineered steel structure erection is nearing completion, which is phenomenal. We're seeing significant work happen at that site, and it's going quite well. The roofing, cladding, and insulation work is ongoing, and we're seeing the building envelope kind of come together, which is great. The construction remains on schedule with the anticipated completion date of January 2025. Just moving on briefly to touch on the water systems upgrade project, mainly the Pitt Street water tank piece. So the project is essentially halfway completed. Significant progress on both the Pitt Street and McDonald Street valve chamber sites, as you've likely seen when you drive by on those streets. The existing water tank at Pitt Street has successfully been demolished. The foundation work for a new tank is ongoing, and concrete is going to be poured for that foundation this week. So as you can see from this picture, rebar is installed. The base gravels are ready. We're essentially ready for concrete. So that is scheduled for the end of this week, which is a great milestone.
Can I interrupt you just for a minute? Just because I did get a question about, like, in lieu of replacing the tower, like, you know, how is the system sustained while that's being decommissioned?
Sure. So essentially, we're running the water distribution system off of the main water tower, which is the Tamarack Tower. So
Okay.
people are not noticing any disruptions in service. Essentially, the Pitt Street tank acted as additional volume
Okay.
in the system, which operated really through from a certain period of time throughout the night, which allowed the Tamarack tank to fill a little bit quicker. So our staff are monitoring tank level trending daily, and we're maintaining the system very well.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, so you can see in the picture on the right side, it's a rendering of what the new water tank is going to look like on the street when you're driving up Brave Street. Just some more visuals. I'll look at the old tank. You can see from that picture there's a very badly degraded coating system on that tank, which we have many recoatings, which is required over the years. Visual for the new style of tank, it's going to be glass lined over steel, bolted steel water tower, and a visual with the town branding on that structure as well. Just a little bit on why we did this project, because that's important for people to know. You can look at the appearance of the old tank. Obviously, you want your infrastructure to look top notch, to reflect a certain standard that we hold ourselves to with the town of Port Hawkesbury. The previous building, which is now demolished, was on a timber foundation, so it was just kind of sat down on wooden beams. It had a lot of rotting siding and eaves. If you look in the building, which is the picture to the right, it just had a gravel floor. It really wasn't much of a building, kind of a baby barn that had some controls, very important controls equipment in it. Very, very poor heating, and there was no adequate provision for access to the vault. So you see that kind of concrete square there. That was how staff went down into this vault structure to do any maintenance or repairs to those components, which was not a very nice place to work at all. And the chlorine injection system with this setup was not adequate for today's standard as well. Just another picture, kind of looking down in that valve chamber. You can see kind of the ladder arrangement that staff had to use. So you climb down one jury rigged ladder onto the top of the valve, and then you jump onto another ladder to get down to the floor. Rusting and general poor condition of valves, controls, and piping. It was confined space protocol every time the staff had to go in there for inspections and maintenance. And the vault space, which is what we're seeing on the right, was electrically heated and prone to flooding periodically. So it's not nice when you have electric baseboards and you're kind of up to your ankles in water walking around down there. Just some visuals of an ROV inspection that was completed when we started looking at this project of the interior of the Pitt Street water tank. So what you're seeing there is evidence of ice damage. So if you can imagine a water tower in the winter, you have this massive column of ice that builds up if you don't have proper mixing equipment. So you have this big column of ice, and as the tower level drops, this big sheet of ice is just moving up and down. And that's doing a number on the interior of your tank. So we did see evidence of significant rusting, ice scouring, pitting of the steel. Yes, the water tower Could have probably kept on going for, another 5 years or whatever. I'm not really sure how long you would keep that in service, but we had the opportunity to secure very significant funding to replace this aged asset, and it's replacing that water tower helped us with some other issues as well, which I'll get into. Just to look at the McDonald Street PRV chamber, it's another vault, another confined space vault that staff had to enter to do any maintenance or checks on the water system. This is what you're seeing on the right is essentially what controls where water goes in our town system. So depending on the position of that actuated valve, water either goes to fill the Tamarack tank or it goes to fill the Pitt Street tank in the pressure zone in the main core town area. Similar issues that we've seen with that site that we did at Pitt Street, confined space issues, inadequate heating, lighting, the assets obviously at the end or beyond their useful life. So just want to talk briefly about the benefits of our water system upgrades project that's ongoing right now. We're seeing improved safety conditions for town staff, which is extremely important. Replaced water utility assets near the end of useful life expectancy. The Pitt tank was 60 plus years old. It's done really, really well. We're going to modernize the equipment, mixing system, instrumentation, and monitor equipment for the quality of the water going in and out of that tank. Updating the chlorine injection equipment to allow staff to better manage residuals and water leaving the Pitt tower. This reduces the likelihood of disinfection byproducts, which is a required monitoring component of our operating approval with the Department of Environment. Reduction of non-revenue water through more stringent flow monitoring. So with these new buildings, we're adding flow monitoring in each direction. So we're able to account for a lot of water that mainly we might not be able to given the current setup, which was in place for many, many years, long before I came to work for the town of Port Hawkesbury. Improved water main leakage finding and repair response, reduce the risk of failures to critical system components. If something goes wrong with one of these buildings, it's a real big problem, and it's not a cheap fix. Improved water system reliability for utility customers, and addresses a daily water pressure fluctuation issue with homes adjacent to the Pitt tank. So this is an issue that we've been getting complaints on for years and years and years from residents around the localized around Pitt Street water tower. I'm one of them. That's where my house is, and it's been ongoing for decades as far as from what I've been told, and we're doing something about it. And it's a boost to the local economy. There's a lot of construction happening now. What some people probably don't realize are additional components to this project. It's not just a water tower project. We've completed the demolition of the old Tamarack water tower under this project last year. It was an important piece. It was an old asset that was taken out of service 15 to 20 years ago and just left up and was rusting for that time. And there was great concerns from the residents in the area with the structural integrity of that tank, of that tower, left empty for so long with no corrosion control system in operation. We've also replaced the roof of our water treatment plant building, which is a phenomenal project, and saves the structural integrity of the building envelope for which we produce water to our residents. We're completing required water treatment plant process equipment upgrades this year. That work is starting in October. And additionally, we're completing water treatment plant PLC upgrades, so process ladder controller upgrades at the plant as well. So those are all extremely essential pieces to this to this overall water system upgrades project. I just wanted to talk a little bit about our capital paving project for 2024, and Saj and John deserves a massive amount of credit for putting most of this information together and managing these projects on a day-to-day basis. So the current project that was just recently completed looked at the milling and paving of approximately 6,520 meters squared, which results in about 770 tons of asphalt. That's a nice accomplishment given the project size that we could do this year. The total estimated cost for the project was $460,000 based on our initial estimates to council, which is within the budget constraints for the capital plan that was approved this year during our budget deliberations. The key areas include paving in Crandall Drive, Spruce Street and Pine Ridge intersection, City Road, Queen Street, Bernard Street, Hiram, and McSween Street. The project was awarded and completed by Northern Contracting Limited, and work was completed on September 17th. The project was completed on schedule. In addition, our small crew of town forces have been, our public works crew have been diligently working on completing asphalt upgrades throughout the community as well, with the cooperation of other local paving companies where we can. So lots of effort on that front. Just wanted to touch a little bit on how the areas are selected. So a lot of people wonder why my street, why not my street? The annual paving and street rehabilitation budget is set by council. A list of proposed streets is provided by staff with input from public works staff and council. This is typically prioritized based on the worst areas first methodology. Cost estimates are prepared based on the list of streets, and a capital paving budget is approved by council given the budget limits for the year based on the identified streets and the severity of the degradation. So it's looking at the worst areas first. We do the best we can with the money that we can afford for that capital year. You're looking at the various types of pavement preservation treatments. There are several. You can look at chip sealing streets. That's typically done on more rural roads. It's a temporary measure. You don't see it so much on urban type residential areas. Crack sealing, that's a good pavement preservation method. We've done a bit of that over the years, and that's a method that repairs joint and longitudinal crack repairs. Not pronouncing that word properly. Longitudinal. Microsurfacing is another application that you'll see on urban type streets. It's a temporary treatment that tends to extend the life of a street, let's say another 5 years or so, which can make sense as a good application. Full depth milling and paving is what you've typically seen from our approach as of late, and it's the suggested treatment for asphalt surface failure. Well, most of the time, the worst areas first, we're seeing complete asphalt surface failure. That's the application that we have to deal with. You can't go into microsurface a street or chip seal a street if there's nothing to bond to, if you're not addressing the subgrade issues before you fix the asphalt. So anyway, additionally, what we're seeing on a lot of streets, there's layer upon layer of asphalt, which makes it a little difficult to cost projects out. So you go into a street, Curbs have been paved over. It's a lot more expensive to correct that with additional milling, additional adjustments to manholes and catch basins and valves. It impacts the drainage on the street, which causes standing water, which further degrades asphalt and shortens the life expectancy of that investment. And also, you know, like when you're looking at doing these asphalt rehabilitation type projects, it's important that we keep up with this work. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to rebuild the entire street structure, from buried piping to curb and gutter to sidewalks and driveways and everything, every time that you want to pave a street. You're kind of comparing apples and bananas if you're looking at things like that. Buried infrastructure replacement is extremely costly. And just thinking back when we looked at cost estimates to do sections of street in Port Hawkesbury in 2018, it was about $1 million per half a kilometer. So I'd be scared to see what those cost estimates would be given post-COVID construction pricing for complete street rebuild projects. We also try to adhere to best practices based on the Transportation Association of Canada, the TAC manual recommendations for street asphalt repair methods, and we do that. Additionally, wanted to just briefly touch on asset management and capital decision making. So, if we do have an opportunity to look at a larger funding project, which is going to do, like, for instance, like a complete street rebuild, we have some good information now, which would help with those decisions. The town has a detailed survey quality asset registry completed in cooperation with the Provincial Asset Management Pilot Project in 2018. This was a nice accomplishment for us. We didn't have that before. Capital upgrade decisions must be evidence-based and solutions based on engineering best practices, adherence with current standards and regulations. So that's extremely important. So design standards have changed since the 1960s, and it continues to change now. And we're seeing that every time that we go out and update engineering study and design for certain upgrades. Funding programs require professional engineering, design, and project management. So when we go out for funding for these types of larger capital investments, a certain level of professionalism and detail is expected. You can't have your project materials on the back of a napkin and expect people to give you millions of dollars. Asset upgrades should be considered based on risk, cost, probability of failure, consequence of failure, etc. So there's lots of criteria that have to come into consideration when making those decisions. Just wanted to speak to some of the challenges that we've seen in the last number of years looking at these types of projects. Municipal infrastructure deficit is a nationwide problem. It's not just a Port Hawkesbury problem. Every municipality in the country is experiencing this, especially small communities like Port Hawkesbury, where we have a lot of infrastructure, a relatively small population size. We don't have the ability to raise taxes and steadily increase our revenue to undertake these massive projects frequently. Municipal infrastructure upgrades and replacement it's extremely expensive. We have a lack of record drawings for town infrastructure. So a lot of the information that we had now, we see changes made over the years that haven't been tracked since those original drawings were produced back in the 60s. We have a lack of documentation, so, issues with changes that were made to infrastructure or, engineering study on why the system was put together the way it was, or recommended long-term planning for upgrades with our various systems, whether that's water, sanitary, or storm. I haven't seen any of that in my time here with the town of Port Hawkesbury. Usually you would have those types of long-term planning asset management documents to reference. Property issues is another item that we've had problems with some projects. And that takes time and money to work through. Trying to find solutions to short-term Band-Aid repairs that tend to last decades. And then managing public expectations. So, it's been quite challenging the last number of years where we've had several significant extreme weather events, and that's when we've seen the real impact to a lot of residents in the community. It's during those hurricane-type massive rain events where we've had 150 mils of rain in a 6-hour period, and of course we've had surcharging in our systems because of that. But every municipality in the province that experienced similar conditions had the same issues. It's not just a Port Hawkesbury problem. But what I will say is this council deserves a lot of credit for the investments it's made in infrastructure over the last number of years. I've lived in Port Hawkesbury all my life, and during this period, there's been significant investment made in upgrades to our water network, our streets, our buildings, fleet. So there's a lot that's been done. We've managed to build kilometers of AT network and sidewalk, which has been a wonderful addition for the community. Rambled on long enough. So briefly, just want to touch on some more of our projects that we have ongoing right now. And you guys will have seen this in your most recent Committee of the Whole report. At Eastern Town, active transportation project is going to be the connection and crosswalk upgrades between the Cardale Estates and Queen Street, crossing Highway 104. That work has started, and we expect more activity there very soon, with the expected project completion mid-November. And Pine Ridge AT connection project. That's another wonderful AT network expansion. It's approximately 400 meters in length, which is going to involve a paved multi-use pathway along Pine Ridge Drive from the intersection of Macquarie Drive to Cranbrook Road. This project is ready to go. Brown Construction has been awarded the work, and the project is expected to commence mid-October and be completed by the end of November. And just kind of wanted to touch on another smaller piece of AT that we do plan to move ahead with this year, just an expansion to our small AT facility at the Sunset Park area to allow for additional seating and concrete work around our piece, and constantly trying to make improvements in that area. And lastly, just wanted to talk about the sidewalk project for this year. That project is going to start this Thursday. Originally, the contractor had expected to start today, and they were delayed on another project site, so they've told us that they're coming on Thursday. The project has been awarded to Northern Contracting. The bid amount was just under $714,000 plus tax. Streets involved for this project: Embry Street, Hunter, McSween, Bernard, Queen Street, Cranwell, Reynolds, with a total approximately 1.5 kilometers of sidewalk to be replaced, which is a wonderful accomplishment. And the estimated completion for this project would be mid-November of this year. And that concludes my presentation.
Any questions for Jason? Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that. Say mid-November. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's for all the sidewalk.
Yeah, mid-November was the expected completion date the contractor passed along. So there's variables that could impact that, weather and any other unforeseen circumstances.
You have a
Through
question?
your worship,
Sure.
to Jason. Jason, great presentation. Just coming on the end of it there, you were talking about the AT trail work that we're going to complete this year.
Mhm.
Are we not doing a piece of Granville Green this year?
I'm not sure. That wouldn't be
Okay.
under our
Okay.
body of work that I'm aware of. So Terry might be able to speak to that more.
Yeah, so that is being completed under an accessibility grant.
Okay.
So we have design on that completed, and I believe we have prices as of last week. So we're ready to move ahead with that.
Okay, thank you.
Fine.
Okay, Councilor McCrory, you're good. Thank you very much for the presentation. We super appreciate it. So our future meeting is the swearing-in ceremony, October 29th. And I just want to wish everyone who is running in the election at this table and in the gallery and maybe watching, the best of luck. And I would open up the floor for any public questions. Anybody online or anybody here in person, if you would like to ask a question of any of our agenda items, you're welcome to either unmute or in person come to the podium and ask a question. Okay, hearing none, I would ask for a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, do you have a seconder?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, please adjourn, thank you.